Amy McGinnis has given me 3 minutes. I've timed my speech. I've got, it's a minute 47, so I've got a little bit of extra time. I'm going to bring up the Steve Draven story. Steve, people here heard the free throw story about your being the 4th best free throw shooter in the family. Well, Belmont's already heard it. Your sister, while she was here for 2 years, told everybody at Belmont that you were the 4th best shooter. And it's going, she'd follow people going, so I just want you to know. Adam, I'd like to come at you real quick. Just because you gave your free throw percentage, what was it?
49 my junior year.
49. We were playing in Aquinas, and to this day, when I talk about and reminisce with people about our playing days at Aquinas, it's not about how small the facility was, or you know, it was intimate. It was good basketball. Adam shot a free throw, and it hit the. Well, I was the one that had to come back and realign the back. We had a softball field about 100 yards on the other side of the west court, and it would land at home plate backward. Do you remember that shot?
I do, yes.
But again, for Adam, he'd come back and the next one he'd make. He was always good at it. When he started got at the free throw line, he's going to miss 1 or 2, but he's going to get one of them. And I was a little bit more. It was 45%. So, okay. Well, good evening. My name is Steve Berg. I'm the Associate Athletic Director at Belmont in Operations. I'm honored tonight to introduce Mike Strickland, our next Hall of Fame inductee. From 1996 until June of 2016, Mike Strickland served as Director of Athletics, navigating the Bruins' transition from NIA to NCAA Division I. During his tenure, the Belmont Athletic Department had 1,084 graduates, 4 academic All-American selections, and won the conference academic trophy 13 out of 15 years while on the Atlantic Sun and Ohio Valley Conference. His teams won 45 conference championships and had 17 NCAA team tournament appearances. I have many, many fond memories of the past 20 years. There are a couple of takeaways that I will most remember about my time with Coach Strickland. He first was a mentor to all the coaches and his staff alike. His door was always open. Usually there was somebody in there. But he also enjoyed visiting his coaches, sitting around probably talking about their team, a visiting team, or probably, I guess, talking about an event in the current news cycle, probably political. But he enjoyed visiting with the coaches and his staff, and he gave his time to them, and it was appreciated by all. Coach Strickland was also very selfless, always giving credit for successes to his coaches and his staff, and never failing to take the blame for any failures, not any failures. And finally, from day one, he emphasized sportsmanship in treating teams, visiting teams with the utmost respect and care. You could always count on Mike Strickland to do the right thing, a class act. I would now like to introduce Mike Strickland, my former boss, mentor, and friend.
Thank you. Well, you know, I've done this for about 20 years up here speaking, and I never had a note ever. It never had a note anywhere, actually. And Martha always worried about what I was going to say or do. But so tonight I did write some things down. I may not use them, but I have them. But let me say first, I really appreciate this. Great honor. And, you know, I hit 250, and as a coach, I was 0-2. So I don't know how you get in the Hall of Fame with those kinds of credentials, but it's a great honor. And I will say that it's a little awkward also tonight because I'm so used to doing what Scott did, kind of being in control and running the thing, and I didn't really quite know what to do tonight. So it was it took me a little time to figure out what to do in here. And I want to take this opportunity to reemphasize what Coach said. I couldn't have picked a better person to take my chair than Scott Corley, and he and I been friends for a long time, and he was such a great supporter of everything we did, and was a first-class act. And I'm just so thrilled that he's here. And I don't know if Keely will give him 25, but at least maybe 20, and we'll see what the next 20 will be. So, let me congratulate the other winners tonight first, and the Mitchells. Congratulations to them. And you know, the Mitchells represent what Belmont is. They're just total support. And I will tell you, Belmont people are like that, and the Mitchells are the greatest. And I've been at other places where people who supported the program didn't always do it with a positive attitude. Sometimes there were other agendas. And that doesn't happen at Belmont. The people at Belmont that support our athletes and coaches and programs are just the best. And I found in my 20 years, all those people, there was never any criticism. It was, we're here with you in the program, and we're behind all the coaches, and let's just make it better. So congratulations to them. The 3 athletes tonight, I saw all of them play, and I couldn't tell you that we could have picked 3 better athletes to honor tonight than these 3. And as Wes kind of was in that group that led us through the desert when we didn't have a conference and we didn't have a lot of things, these 3 came along when we got to conference, and we had some opportunities to be successful, and they did it. Those 3 took our program and took it to another level where we really became, all right, they're going to get it done in Belmont. They are successful. So I want to compliment them. I remember Colleen. She had the sweetest smile. And for 4 years, she'd walk around the department with that smile, just the sweetest young lady. But when she played volleyball, the smile went off, and she was all business. And she was a force to be reckoned with out there. Kind of been some jokes about it, but in all fairness, Adam, if the ball touched his hand in the paint, it was over, 2 points. And the guy that ran the clock would know that before the ball even went in the basket, you could go in and put the 2 points up, because he was not going to miss if he got it. Mr. Draven, what I remember about Steve, a lot of things, but the one thing I remember about Steve more than anything was in his 4 years, and I wasn't in the locker room every day, but I was in there a lot, after games, meetings, things like that. Steve Draven, in 4 years, never took his eyes off Coach Bird one time. And you can't say that about every player. Some of them would fidget and look at the ceiling and look around, but Steve would sit on the edge of his chair and laser Coach Bird for 4 years. And I always would look over there and see him, and it was just intensity. That's the way he played. So, again, congratulations to all 3 of these people. And I'm glad that the year I get to come in and be selected here, be honored that I get to come in with you 3. Just great people. I want to thank some people, obviously. My wife, Martha, and I tell you, I'm far from the best athletic director that ever walked down the pike, but she is absolutely the best athletic director's wife, I will tell you that, so I promise you. I've got 2 beautiful daughters here, Sarah Grace and Leanna, and here's the thing you got to remember, Scott, about athletic director. You know, I did this for 20 years, and everybody's, giving me a send-off and everything, and I'm thinking, this is pretty good. And all my 2 girls want to know is, this doesn't mean we lose our basketball tickets, does it? So they're worried about our basketball tickets. I appreciate Martha's family came up tonight. Her 2 sisters and their husbands, Bob and Troy, came from South Carolina. And I will tell you, they are a Belmont link down there in South Carolina. They've come to just about every time we've been in the NCAA tournament. And they're even Clemson people, and we played Clemson, they pulled for us. So we appreciate them, and we've got a little thing down there. I have at my table, I had Betty and Kenny, because I was so privileged when I came here, and I didn't have the Belmont background. I was kind of somebody from up the road in Kentucky, right, Coach? And these 2 people, I got to work with them. Kenny for a couple of years till he retired, and Betty for about 15. And what a great privilege it was to understand and get to know what it was to be a Belmont person by working with those 2 people. I appreciate them so much. I want to tell you the reason I asked Steve to introduce me was he is a great American, no question about that, but Steve represents the athletic staff. And when I stand up here and say that I'm going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, it's because of what we did over those last 20 years, build this program as a Division I program and make it a big success. And I get to stand up here and be in the Hall of Fame for that. But Steve and the other people on the staff that are here, I see Renee, and there's Debbie, and Greg, and John, and Kenesha, and all the people that were here that made that happen. And it's a Hall of Fame staff. And, you know, you don't really know about all those people, but Belmont is so privileged to have had that staff. And we stayed together, which is very unusual, for about 20 years. Most of us worked for 20 years together. None of them left. And they're still here, and Scott gets to inherit them, and I know he appreciates them. But I accept being a member of the Hall of Fame for our administrative work over 20 years. But those people are Hall of Famers too, and I want to acknowledge them. And Steve represents them, and so I appreciate everything that they've done. Let me just real quick, as we look back over the 20 years, what we did. We started out back in 1996, and we were in this limbo thing. The NCAA didn't even know who we were, what we wanted to do, and we would call and say, "What do we do?" And they'd say, "Make it up. We don't have a clue. You guys figure it out for yourselves." And we knew one thing, that we were not going to take the attitude that what we were doing was better than what Belmont had done. It was just different. And we had, you know, my respect and admiration and our staff for what Belmont had done to that point was paramount in our process here. So we were just different. Everything had to be different. Academics, compliance, eligibility, recruiting, scheduling, everything was different. And that's what this group took after. We started out with 3 things, because when we got started, we didn't have a league, we didn't have a schedule, we had minimal facilities. We were just trying to figure this thing out. How do we get into this new world? So we came up with 3 ideas. We wanted to make a strong commitment to academics. We felt like we could do that. Second was operations, and we felt like we could do things better than anybody else. Belmont could be the best. So when we would bring teams in, we would make sure they had everything. And when they left, we wanted them to say, "Nobody treats you better than Belmont." And we tried to have the best game table. We did all of that. Third one was sportsmanship, fair play. And our coaches embraced that, and we built that into part of our system. And so those were the 3 things that happened. And then we figured if we do that and are careful and patient, all the other things will come. And they did. The big thing was getting the conference. And Dr. Fisher remembers, before he got here and then after he got here, Kenny Sidwell and I would travel around the country. We'd chase commissioners. We'd sit in the lobby for hours just trying to get 5 minutes with somebody. And finally, Mr. Bill Bibb with ATTAC gave us 5 minutes, told us what to do. We followed his advice. And then eventually, one day, Dr. Fisher and I rode down to Atlanta and signed the contract, and here we go. What I also remember about those days, and Dr. Fisher will remember this, we had a couple of leagues that came to visit us, and they didn't buy it. Dr. Fisher would say, "We're going to build this building, we're going to get it done, Belmont can do this." And they just kind of laughed at us and blew us off and went on. And he remembers that. And Bill Bibb was the only one. Bill Bibb said, I believe you guys, I believe in you. And it's worked out great. We were the Atlantic Sun, now we're the Ohio Valley, and all that's worked out. And after that, it did. Once you got that league, everything happened. All the things we put in place. And again, this staff, every day, that's what they worked on. How to make the conditions better so our coaches and athletes can be competitive and we can get this done. So then we got all the awards and championships and everything worked out great. So it's been a wonderful 20 years. And again, I just appreciate so much myself getting the opportunity to serve at Belmont for 20 years. It's a wonderful experience. And I thank you for this special recognition. It's very special. Again, when you're a 250 hitter to be in the Hall of Fame, that's pretty special. And Belmont's such a special place, and I thank God very much for giving me the opportunity to be here. Thank you very much.